In this video, we are going to be discussing volumes of prisms and cylinders. Now, by definition, volume is a space that a figure occupies. For example, this block of ice and these three smaller blocks of ice actually have the exact same volume. Their surface area is different, but the volume is going to be the same. Now, a prism definition is a polyhedron with exactly two congruent parallel faces, which we call the base. There's a base on bottom and a base on top, and a lateral face going around. So this hot pink and this grayish, these are what's called lateral faces, and they are actually rectangles that go between the top base and the bottom base. Now you have very specific types of prisms. You have a triangular prism where the base is a triangle. You have a square prism, which we don't normally say. You're actually used to seeing the word cube for a square prism, but the base and the bottom and the top are squares. You have a pentagonal prism, which that means the base on the top and bottom are 5 sides. And you have a rectangular prism where the base are rectangles. Next, you have a hexagonal prism, which again would be that the base, the faces on top and bottom are going to be 6-sided. Again, octagonal will be 8 sides, and then trapezoidal is the base are going to be trapezoids. But in all of them, if you notice, the base is a triangle here, but the faces that are between the bottom base and the top base are all rectangles. If you see here, that's a rectangle, that's a rectangle. These are rectangles, these are rectangles, these are rectangles, these are rectangles, these are rectangles. So the lateral faces are rectangles. To find the volume of a prism, it is going to be the area of the base, which is going to change depending on what the base is. Like if it's a triangle, then it's going to be 1/2 the base times height, as the area of the base multiplied by the height of the whole thing. If it's a rectangular prism, it is going to be length times width is going to be the area of the base times the height of the entire thing. Pentagonal, hexagonal, and so forth. So depending on what the base is, that is going to be the formula for that area. Now, a right versus oblique. A right prism and oblique prism actually have the same volume. The height is going to be the same no matter what. Same thing with a cylinder and an oblique cylinder. An oblique is basically a prism or a cylinder that is tilted on its side. Basically, it does not hit at 90-degree angles. Here at a right cylinder, it hits at 9 degrees, but an oblique cylinder, that is not a 90-degree angle. So let's practice. If we were to find the volume, this is a rectangular prism. So again, the volume of a rectangular prism is going to be the area of the base times the height of the entire prism. So if we look at this, like for example, if we choose this to be the base, so you got length times width of the base, which means then that would be multiplied by the height of the whole thing. Basically, the height goes from the bottom base to the top base. This would be on its side. So therefore, the length and width would be 5 times 8, and then the height of the entire thing would also be 8. You could do the same thing if you wanted the base to be the 8 by 8. You're still multiplying 8 times 8, and then the height of the whole thing would be 5. And so therefore, the answer is going to be 320. Now, here's the deal. It's 320, but don't forget units. This is meters, and because you're doing meters times meters times meters, it will be meters cube. Next, in this case, this would be what's called a triangular prism, because the base right here is a triangle. You have the rectangles that bring the top base and the bottom base together, connects them. And so therefore, since it's a triangular prism, the area of the base is going to be the area of a triangle and then the height of the whole thing. Since the base is a triangle, we're going to do 1/2 the base times the height, and then the height of the whole thing. So therefore, the base of a triangle is 5 and 12, because again, you're looking at the base and height is what's happening at the right angle, which means this 13 actually does not mean anything. We are not going to use 13 in our formula. So the base times height, and then the height of the entire prism is going to be 3. So therefore, you will have 30 on the inside times 3, which is 90. And again, this is meters, and it will be cube. Now, this is a cylinder, which you can think of it as a circular prism. In the fact that if you were to check this cylinder, if you were to unfold this cylinder, so if I actually pulled up a cylinder and I was to actually take it apart, what happens is you have 2 circles for the base. Okay, so it would be the area of the circle, and this turns into a rectangle. So what happens is for a cylinder, it is still going to be, the volume is still going to be the area of base times the height of the whole thing. And in this case, the area of the base is pi r squared, and then the height of the whole thing. So we'll have pi 6 squared, because that's the radius, and then the height of the entire thing is 9. So our answer is going to be 324 pi, and then this is in yards cubed. Now, if you were to multiply that by pi, if we wanted to round it, it would be 1017.9 yards cubed. This is what's called the exact answer, because you would leave pi, and this would be rounded. So to recap, the volume of a prism is going to be the area of the base depending on what it is. It could be a triangle for the area, it could be a rectangle, it could be a square, it could be a pentagon, a hexagon, a trapezoid, doesn't matter. So whatever the areas are, it's going to be the area of the base times the height of the whole thing. And then specifically for cylinders, it is pi r squared times the height, because for every cylinder, the base is a circle. And so therefore, the area of a circle is always going to be pi r squared. So I want you to pause the video, attempt to do this problem, and then hit resume to check your answer. So for this one, because this is a triangular prism, because the base obviously is a triangle, we are going to do 1/2 the base times height, and that is going to be multiplied by the height of the entire prism. So therefore, the base is, the numbers are down there. So since this is the right angle, this is going to be the base and height of the triangle. Be careful. This height is just the height of the triangle. It is not the height of the whole thing. So the base and height of this triangle is going to be 3 and 4. And then the height of the entire prism is going to be 6. So that is going to be 36 when you multiply all of that together. And then again, this is meters, and because it's volume, you are dealing with meters cubed. And next practice, so this is a cylinder, which again, the base is a circle. So that is why the area of the base is pi r squared, and then you would have the height of the whole thing. So you would have 3 squared, because r, the radius is 3, and the height of the entire thing is going to be 18. So you can either have 162 pi, and the units are centimeters cube, or if you want to find out what that is as a decimal, it is going to be 508.94, depending on where you round. So again, this is what's called exact, and this is what is called rounded to the nearest whatever it might be. Now, in this case, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to break this up into 2 different prisms. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break it up this way, so that if you look at it in this, you have this rectangle right here, and then you have the rectangle that is on top, and then we're going to add the 2 volumes together. So if I'm looking at this rectangle, I'll go ahead and put it, all right, so I am looking for this aqua rectangle right here. So if I was to find the volume, because this is a rectangular, it is length times width, and then it's going to be multiplied by the height. So therefore, it is going to be 12 times 16, and then the height of this part of the prism, it is going to be 5, is the height of this part. And so when you multiply that together, you will get 960, and it's going to be meters cubed. Now to do this other part, the tall, skinny one, you are going to go, you're finding that height in length and width. So to do this, you would have the length times width and then again times the height. Now in this case, you know that 4 goes from here to here, 9 is the height, and then the width of this is the same width as the 12. So I know that 12 is the same width. So therefore, the length and width are 4 and 12, and then the height of the entire thing is 9. So when you multiply that together, I believe you get 432 meters cubed. And therefore, when you put the two volumes together, you'll get 960 plus 432. So 960 plus 432, do not multiply, you need to add. You'll get 1392, and again, it will be meters cubed. Last part, this volume is two different parts put together. If you look at it from this perspective, this is a cylinder, or actually half of a cylinder if you think about it that way. And then the bottom is a rectangular prism. So the top part is only half of a cylinder. So let's go ahead and do that first. Now, if this whole thing is 3 from here to here, that means the radius is going to be 1.5. So for a cylinder, again, a cylinder is pi r squared, the area of the base, which is a circle, times the height of the whole thing. But we're only dealing with half of it. So we'll do 1/2, and then pi, the radius is 1.5 squared, and then the height of the whole thing is the height of the rectangular prism as well, which is going to be 18. So if I go ahead and multiply that together, I will get 20.25 pi, and that is meters cubed. And then if I do the rectangular prism, which is length times width and then the height of the whole thing, you are, okay, so here's the deal. The height is 18. So if I do a length of 3, I need to find my width, or if this is my length and that's my width, it doesn't matter. Here's the deal. If 6 goes all the way to the top, and this part is 1.5 from here to the very top, that means from the base up to this point is going to be 4.5. 6 minus 1.5 is 4.5. Again, this is 1.5 because the radius is 1.5, which means you can draw it all the way around to be 1.5. So therefore, the length is 4.5. The width is 3, and the height of the whole thing is 18. So if I multiply that together, I will get 243, and again, that is meters cubed. And now to find the final answer, I'm going to take that volume and add them together. So 243 plus 20.25 pi is going to give me 306.62 meters cubed, depending on how you round.